Hello and welcome back to the Tales of a Pleb podcast. We are back with another episode. One more for the gang, you could say. Oh god, turn the sign on. Oh, whoops, I haven't turned on. It has now. We are back with hopefully a bang. Um, as I assume many of you saw, we are now on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Not sure about the YouTube, but I know a lot of people have seen the TikTok. Again, the ats on screen if you're watching the video. Otherwise, they are at Tales of Pleb. The O is 0. Uh, and other than that, not much to say. We're going to have something new added to the studio. That was quite loud, sorry. Little Texo sound. Pow. Vintage. Father did get that for me. Don't know why I called him Father. It's Big Steve, Massive Steve, whatever you want to call him. Put that down delicately. I apologise because I do know that the last time I had a lot more short videos lined up to be posted, but the audio for them was shit. So I don't know if that's a thing that is going on for the whole episode, but hopefully we've sorted it. And the problem was that the mic was picking up too much. So hopefully that's sorted. I will try to listen back to this one though. But hopefully it's nothing too major. We just need to keep an eye on how loud the audio is. Um, if you did listen to the last episode, you will know that what we talked about was my experience of being a scout, which yeah, has had its ups and downs. Um, this episode does tie into that because I went to South Korea as a scout. The audio's cooked already. Great, I'll have to see it. We'll turn the microphone down so it might be a little bit more quiet, but it's not going to free bops as often, which we need. But yeah, I went to South Korea in 2023 to represent the United Kingdom and Devon. And we went there I went there as one of 40,000 other people, um, aged 14 to 18, and I was one of 4,000 UK participants and one of 72 from Devon, which was quite impressive, I would say. In the last episode, we mostly spoke about what I got up to before that and how I actually got selected to go to Korea, if that interests any of you. But this episode should be a lot shorter. Not a lot, but a fair amount shorter than the last episode because we're just going to talk about what actually happened when I was in Korea. Other than that, I think that's all my intro done. Oh, I forgot to turn the other light on. Oh, that's a lot better. I look way more beautiful now. Now you can just see all my lack of skincare routine. But my skin's quite good actually, I'd say. But that's besides the point. We went to Korea in. I'm actually gonna have to check the calendar for this. Right, so we'll go to year 2023. Oh, the voice cracked, but we don't care. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Ah, it's not up there, but it will be on my gallery. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Do, do. Ah, We left the United Kingdom on the 27th of July, and we came back on the 15th of August. So, and we flew from Bristol. So we all met in Exeter. Again, shithole, don't care. At the service station. Then we got a coach from Exeter services to Bristol, which then took us from Bristol. No, which then when we got to Bristol, we stayed in Bristol for maybe an hour or two, did the bags and stuff. I had a Burger King because needed food. And then we got transported from Bristol into Amsterdam airport, which is actually quite a nice airport. I quite liked it, and then we were there for maybe 2 hours or so, maybe a little bit longer, and then we got flown over 7 hours to Incheon Airport, which is an hour outside of Seoul, which is the capital of South Korea. And then we spent 3 days then in the capital, before, or were supposed to spend 3 days in the capital. We ended up spending 4 days because of flooding on the campsite, which should have foreshadowed what was to come, but we move. So then after we got to the capital, we had to go to our hotel. We were staying in a hotel for the first 3 days. And me being me, we got given these bottles before, which I am holding up. Quite big, quite nice. We got given these bottles before we went to Korea, as part of our kit. We also got given bags and other items. And we got to the airport, and the first thing I did was get on the escalator. And so these escalators aren't even that deadly. So what happened? I'm now stood up. I got off the escalator, and because we've got these wheelie bags that are about up to the waist, I'm wheeling the bag. It gets trapped on like the escalator lip, if that's what you call it. The thing we escalate, like the stair you stand on, goes under this little lip, and the wheel of the bag got caught on the lip. So I'm still pulling, and obviously you just hit it and go pow, splat. Bottles flown out. Everything's gone everywhere. Phones not stayed in pocket, but the bottle's gone flying and rolled everywhere. The train's pulled into the station because the escalators are down to the train station, and I obviously just get up, dust myself off, and it's just like a little bit embarrassing because I've done it in front of people I'm going to have to spend the next 3 weeks in their vicinity. But we move, we only live once, and that was a great start to my time in Korea. We got on the train for hour or so, and then got to Seoul, and then did our bags and stuff, and then got to the Ibis, which was the hotel we were staying in, right across from a 7-Eleven, stuff like that. And then we got into our patrols and went to go and get food, after setting up in our dorms and stuff, which was ideal. So then we got all our stuff set up. Then we went to go and get food. We went to this little veggie restaurant that was only serving vegetarian food. I had a little soup with noodles in, which was actually quite delightful. I very enjoyed. And then the second night we went and got ramen from the 7-Eleven and used the kettle to heat it up. because what else are you supposed to do? Which was also quite nice. And on those days, we just kind of spent our days exploring the city, and we went to some museums. One was the Korean War Museum. Wait, I might be getting the days wrong. I'm gonna have to check the gallery again. And one was like a old temple in Korea, which was actually very informative. Yeah, we did go to the Korean War Museum, and that we met up with the other Devonshire unit. And then on the third day we were there, we went to the DMZ, which is the demilitarized zone, and it's quite a weird place to be because it's like you can literally, so in South Korea they've got this place where you pull in and you can go into this tunnel, and it's like it's really tight. It's like a cave, and the Koreans have this as an attraction for tourists because it's where North Korean soldiers were trying to dig under the city, under the border, and invade. But the Koreans found out about it, or the South Koreans found out about it and stopped it because obviously you're not wanting to get invaded. Who would, um, as a British person, very bad, not good. Invasion never works. Trust. But we went down into this tunnel. You've got to put your helmet on, and the ceiling's quite low. So, and I'm not a tall person. I stand about 5'10", I think, and I was having to duck in those tunnels. So that's kind of how small they were, which is you can go right into look through this like little window and go and see how far the Koreans or the North Koreans actually got, which is quite scary. And then you go into this, and then it's also got like a museum and explains what the demilitarized zone is and all that, and it's quite informative and quite harrowing, I'd say. And then you get taken up to this viewpoint where you can look over the border and see a fake North Korean city to make it look nicer than it actually is, pretty much. And you go look and you can just about see over into this city that the North Koreans have made to make South Koreans think that they've got it nicer, pretty much. Which is actually quite a weird tactic, but whatever floats your boat, I guess. And then there's, but we had to go quite. It was quite a weird time we went because a couple weeks before we'd gone, someone had actually tried to do a run across the border. So I think the tensions were higher or something, was what they were saying to us. I can't exactly remember everything, but yeah. And then we got taken back from the DMZ to this little village that fed us, and it had a shop, had a restaurant, and I don't know what they were serving, but the food was all right, other than the rice. And I love rice. I was a fussy eater before I went to Korea, but after going, I've widened my palate as such. But the rice they gave us was this sticky rice, and it was like, and it had this paste on it that tasted absolutely mank. And every time, genuinely, I was eating it with my chopsticks, going, bah, 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 bah. And I'd eat it, and I'd genuinely go like gag, and I felt bad, but I genuinely couldn't endure eating the rice. But that was fun. I say fun. That was certainly an experience. And then we got taken to a bridge called like Love Bridge or something, or the Freedom Bridge. I can't. Oh no, this is gonna sound really bad. I can't remember. But all I can remember was hearing these cicadas in the trees going, like making the cricket noise, not just rubbing their hands together. But they go, but like really loud and stuff like that. Um, so that's quite something. And they had all these padlocks on the thing saying, peace, not war, stuff like that. And they had this old train that was used in the war as transport, and they took us over the river. I want to say the Yangtze or something. I don't know exactly what the river is, but it runs all the way through. And then after we'd gone to the DMZ, we got taken to a water park because basically we got told, oh, you're staying in Seoul 2 days longer because the campsite's flooded, which foreboded a lot. But yeah, so we got taken to a water park, and before we went to the water park, we had to get loads of trains, and there was one train that takes you outside to the water park. And we got out there. We got on this little like 2-carriage train that takes you from the last subway station to the water park. And it's a nice water park, but because it was such a warm day and I think we were in a heat wave, everybody was getting on this train to go to the water park, even like loads of Koreans. Obviously, it is their country, but there were like so many, like you were packed in like sardines in a tin, like, and because we were so packed, me and 4 other members of my unit got trapped on this train, taken back to the subway station, and we literally are about to get off, and then the doors just shut, and it's like, great. So we get taken 10 minutes back one way, 10 minutes back the other way, uh, before getting off, being able to get off, and then it's like, great. But that didn't ruin the water park, and that was a good day out, I'd say. But then then we got after we went to the water park, we got told to take some water or stuff with electrolytes in it. Most people opted for a blue Powerade, but I wasn't really a big Powerade drinker. They said you can get a Powerade, but you got to get electrolyte water. You want to get this stuff. I held up this bottle of literally just water, but it's got Pocari Sweat on it, and it's like, whoa. And trust me, it's an experience when you try it, but you've got to try it, I reckon. Would recommend. So you go in, you get this bottle. It's a weird shaped bottle, like one of those Mogi cat bottles, but bigger. And you open it and go, and it's a similar to water, but it isn't water. Is the best way I can describe it. I am roasted. But yeah, it's like the best way I can describe it is like Prime. If anyone's tried that, but not really. It's coconut watery, I guess, is what I would say. Um, But then after that, we went up the Seoul Tower, which overlooks most of Seoul. I say most of Seoul, but actually it doesn't overlook, like, on all the pictures I have, the city like ends at a portion, and it is just nothing and just fog. Do excuse, I'm rather tired. And sweating like tons. Pause 1 second. Jesus. I had to take my jumper off there. I'm doing a lot better now. But yeah, so then we got given the go ahead to go to the campsite, which was 3 hours away from the city. And so we got taken to Seoul, and from Seoul on this coach, which took us 3 hours to get to the campsite. And the campsite is on this beach that pretty much, and it's all sandy. So we actually had to put these pallets under our tent to ensure that they wouldn't flood or water wouldn't get in, just in case. So that was fun, I guess, and took quite a bit of time to set up. And we got given these gazebos that we had to put up to give us some shade. And yeah, then we went to the opening ceremony, which had like a drone show. That we got given these little ice cream pouches that were almost like squeezy yogurt pouches, but they were bigger, had a little hole at the top that you'd go. But it was all ice cream, which was quite nice. I very enjoyed those. The ice creams out there are absolutely amazing. I will say, ain't got nothing on anything we can produce. Like an ice lolly, nah. They've got like little squeezy things, little pots, literally watermelon shaped ice creams. Great stuff. Would very recommend their ice creams. But excuse, I might have to end early. I'll get to half an hour and then I'll do another episode because I don't want to rush the second half. But very unfortunate, but I am not feeling excellent. But I will scam my way to another episode. Annoyingly, I will have to pay for more storage on this website that I use, but is what it is. Yeah, we'll try to keep going. Show must go on and all that. Worries me, but yeah, I'm sweating buckets here. So we got to the campsite, set up, went to this opening ceremony, and they had these shops all around the campsite. And when we got to the campsite, we got given this little lanyard, which I'm showing up, and it had basically transport stuff on it, and basically showed everyone that we were a participant that was actually supposed to be on the site. Same with these neckers. Whoops, I just slapped my microphone. Which was designed specially, and they're actually quite nice. I quite like this one. And we got given these badges, which have a little crab and our unit name and number on, which was designed by us. So we did. Jesus. We did all that, got given all that, and got told we had activities the next day, only for them to be cancelled because it was too hot, apparently. Um, and the problem was for us that we were given activities to do in the water, which would have cooled us down, but they said, no, it's too hot, you can't do them. So we spent the day, well, I spent the day exploring the campsite, and our leaders had told us to go out and do it in pairs, minimum. So me and a group of others went to go and find the other Devon unit, because quite a lot of people had siblings in that unit. And I was wearing just a plain white, I was wearing not a plain white tee, I was wearing a unit t-shirt which had our logo on the back and a beach. I think I've worn it around sometimes. But it was quite a nice t-shirt, I'd say. And so as we're looking, we can't find them anywhere. So I say, oh, let's go find a site map. There must be one on the road. So we walk down the road, find a site map, and then we meet these other lads from, I want to say Sussex or something, or Nottingham. And they were like, oh, yeah, okay, I like your t-shirt, mate. I'll give you my dinosaur necker for your t-shirt, and I'll give you my white t-shirt plain as with as a payment, so you're not walking around shirtless. And I said, yeah, go on then. Take my shirt off, get the necker, and his white t-shirt, which I still wear sometimes to this day because it's just a white t-shirt, which actually goes well. And I will show the camera my dinosaur necker. And basically, we went and found the other unit and found a bunch of people and some Moroccans who gave me a chicken pita bread thing with salad, which was quite nice, and were just giving me shit. I had a bracelet from them, which was quite nice, and I lost in Iceland. Whoops. Um, but I then was like, I got back to my camp, and half the unit's asleep under the gazebo. So I'm like, oh, I'll go spend some time trading then. I'll go up and down the camp with trading, because with our badges, we could go trade them for other people's badges, which I did. And I spent 6 hours just walking up and down the campsite trading my 50 badges, which seemed like a lot, but actually started to run thin quite quickly. But I then proceeded to get a telling off because of my trading. Whoops, I something. And I was like, and at the time it was just like I was with other people, just not people from my unit, which I understand why they were angry, but you know, in hindsight, I'm glad I did it, because literally later that evening, because of the amount of bugs and stuff, and we'd seen people washing the cleaning supplies in the same taps we used to get our drinking water from, which is delightful. And so later that same evening, we got told actually they are taking us off the site and back to Seoul. And this is about the third, maybe fourth, third or fourth of June. So we're spending another week and a half in Seoul, which is delightful. So, and that was all UK troops or units, because of the bites and heat and all that. And so yeah, we got taken off the site the next morning because So actually, I was quite glad I did spend 30 minutes extra trading, because, or 6 hours that day trading, because I know a lot of people didn't, and I would say they missed out. And I now have tons of badges and stuff from Korea and other places in the world. Um, got some Taiwan, Trinidad and Tobago, stuff like that. And I went and met so many more people than what I would have if I just stayed sat down and slept in the camp. So I'm really happy that I actually did spend that time doing something else and actually trading, instead of just sitting there and wasting time. Because the next morning at about 10, I woke up at 6:30, and no one else had got up. I got up and they were like, "Oh, Alfie, you've got to," my leaders were like, "Oh, Alfie, you've got to wake everyone else up. We got to go get packed and all that and take our tents down and stuff, because we're going." And I was like, "Fine." So I'm banging on people's tents, going, "Bap, bap, 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 wake up," and all that. And they're like, "Fine, we got to take the tents down, pack." And then I traded for my UK issued rucksack to an Egyptian, their rucksack, which was actually quite a lot nicer than ours, I'd say. But what some people didn't realise was that they come in two halves, a front side and a back side. And some people got scammed and only got the front side, which is obviously smaller. I didn't, and I got the back side. Would have preferred to get both, but it is what it is. Um, and I use that bag quite a lot. It's got like all the Egyptian stuff on it, got pyramids, stuff like that, and it's quite nice. So you might see me use that from time to time if you see me in person. Um, and yeah, so at 10 in the morning, we got taken to the car or the coach parking and got told to wait. And we were sat there for 2 hours waiting for the coach to come pick us up. And we got back to Seoul at about 4-ish, maybe even later. And we got taken to this 5-star hotel, which we were just saying when we got back to Seoul from the site anyway, but we just got put in it for 10 days, I think. And it was a luscious hotel, very delightful. And yeah, we got taken back to that, and we just got to stay in the hotel. And we could connect our phones to the televisions, and we use that to watch Mamma Mia, one, and then one night we watched Cars 2, top film. As you know, I love it. I was the one that put that one on. I don't think many other people were clamoring to watch Cars 2, sadly. But then we watched Men in Black. That was a good film. But however, the one downside was I had to sleep on the floor for the first 7 days in the hotel, because people from the UK task force, pretty much, had to stay in the hotel as well. So some of the rooms that we were supposed to have were given to them, so that they had place to stay. So some of our unit had to sleep in the same rooms as us, which was fine. It just meant I slept on the floor for 6 days on my roll mat and stuff, but it wasn't bad. And yeah, I enjoyed it. And there was like room service where you could order all these nice things off the tablet for free as well, which was crazy. like towels, stuff like that. It was quite good. But one thing our leaders did tell us was that actually, because it was such a big like news story, it even got on BBC and stuff, which some people might have found out about. And basically, because it was such a big news thing, and a bit of a big, not scandal, but bit of a, I can't remember the word they used. It was like shocker, something like that. Um, oh, that the Korean people would actually start being nicer to us, not because we were asking them to be, but just because they were so disappointed at their own showing, pretty much. And so they would all be like, "Oh yeah, to have this, have this." Um, I and actually 2 days after we'd left the site, a typhoon was supposed to hit, but so actually the whole camp had to get evacuated. But by the time it hit Seoul, it was no longer a typhoon and just a tropical storm. But we went out in the morning to go into these malls because they've got massive like mega malls and stuff like that. And when we got back to Seoul, you would think, oh yeah, you eat loads of nice food, loads of like Korean barbecue, like posh stuff. No, most nights we were just eating burgers from Shake Shack or a place called Lottie Burger, which is like the Korean version of McDonald's. But they were luscious burgers, I will admit. My order normally was a beef burger with a little bit of cheese, and it was luscious. Not just a cheeseburger; it had like a mozzarella like wrapped thing, like a mozzarella slab, and it was like in a batter, so it would like melt in your mouth, and it was quite good. And yeah, so we went out one day and I didn't have a coat or an umbrella because I didn't expect it to be that bad. So this green lady saw me go out in the wet because actually everyone because and we were given a and then she caught up to me and was like, "Oh, here, have this umbrella," and I was like, "Oh, thank you," but I used that umbrella once, so do apologize, and I did leave the umbrella in the hotel because I actually couldn't carry it back to England. Um, so after we and one night we did a Korean barbecue, which I cooked. I didn't do it for the whole unit, just a table of us, of three of us, which I cooked delightfully, and it was a very good Korean barbecue. But boy, it was expensive. But luckily, the unit had money to cover our food costs, and actually did well. On the and across the time we were in Seoul, because we were staying in Seoul for so long, the UK contingent, which is like the head of the UK, organized us stuff to do, which at the time we were in Korea, it was still run by Bear Grylls was still the chief scout. So one day we went to the ballet or something, like a ballet kung fu show, taekwondo thing, which is like a musical taekwondo production, which was quite good in the old Olympic Park. We also had a like, treasure hunt to do in the Olympic Park on the way, but I don't think many people actually partook in that, to be brutally honest. We did do, however, was one day, like the second to last day in Korea, we got taken to this lavish building which does like food and stuff. Did packaged seaweed because that's quite a big thing over there. So we went there, had a lovely meal, had pizza, fish and chips, like Korean foods. I can't remember the names, and I'll probably butcher the pronunciation, but it was like a buffet thing, and it had loads of units from England and the Cornish unit, who we did call wankers. Excuse the language, but yeah, because we ate the Cornish, because snobs. And yeah, so across the hallway we were just shouting cream first and stuff like that, because Devon is heaven. I don't make the rules. And yeah, that was the second to last day. And after we went there, we had games to play in that same thing where we won prizes such as a tote bag, which I'm holding up, and a T-shirt with some Gokujan or something on it. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's like, and we made kimchi, which is like fermented cabbage, and it's quite spicy, but it's very nice. I enjoyed doing that. That was fun. And after we went there, we got told we could either go back to the hotel, just sleep, or we could go to this park. And it was like, the last day in Korea, so I was just like, you know what, I'll go to the park, where we got an ice cream. I had like a push pop, I think they're called, like, like fruit blackcurrant things that are like in conical tubes, and you press the bottom up and like it comes out, and you go, oh, yeah, no, anyone? But yeah, that was nice, and it was a very nice park. And the whole time I was just thinking, with this over already, because it genuinely went like that. And then it dawned on me that the next day was just a travel day. Well, actually, the next 2 days were travel days, because we left Korea on the 14th, and we got on the train, and so many people were just crashing, going to sleep, and all that. And we got to the airport, got on the plane, went to Amsterdam Schiphol Airport, from Incheon, and that took a night. The night, which actually me and another bloke from our unit had a mate, and he started complaining to the flight people, and he got moved. So me and mate just started to lean across the middle seat and just have our legs up, and it was quite good. I watched both Avatar films on the plane, which I hadn't before, and they were both quite good. And yeah, so then we got to Amsterdam at 5 in the morning, and we stayed in Amsterdam for 7 hours before being able to even get on our flight to Bristol, which took another hour, and then it took another hour to get back to Exeter on the 15th. And then we took a quick pit stop at Exeter, got some food, and then another hour back to Plymouth, where I crashed. Not on the floor this time, however. And I enjoyed Korea. For all its ups and downs, I had a great time. I made a fair few friends, none of which in my own unit, because they're all twats. I don't care if you listen to the podcast. Don't get along with you lot. But yeah, yeah, it was a good time. Very lucky that I even had the experience, and yeah, just glad that I actually did what I did whilst I was there, and actually feel like I made most of the time and used it quite well compared to some people. Um, and I think that if I had the chance to go back to Korea, I would. It's a really great place, and just unfortunate that we didn't actually get to do anything scouting related on the campsite. But it is what it is, I guess. But other than that, I think that's a pretty quick whistle stop tour around what I did in Korea and how it went. So, um, once again, thank you for listening. Um, it will be on YouTube eventually. Um, if you've made it this far, bless. Um, and go follow the TikTok, the Instagram, and much love. Peace.